March 1st meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission to order. I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
In the absence of the chair as vice chair, I'd like to assume the duties of chair. Somebody make a motion for that?
I will make a motion that Bert assume the duties of chair for this meeting.
Can we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So, good evening. First of all, at a meeting of the Select Board Monday night, Michael Seeley was appointed Conservation Administrator, so congratulations, Mike.
Oh,
Congratulations, Mike.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And on another matter, David Good has submitted a letter of resignation because he needs to pursue other commitments. So we thank Dave for his service and wish him well. That's it for announcements. This is a hybrid meeting. In the event of an electronic failure, the meeting will continue, but if anybody wants to attend by Zoom, that's possible. Moving on to the first item, business item number 1 is 10 Donito Drive. Mike, do you want to explain that one?
Yes, the homeowner, Mr. Sofrandini, is here to discuss foundation plans for that home on 10 Donito Drive.
Sir, you want to identify yourself?
Dave Sufferdean, 10 Donito Drive. My intent is, or what I'd like to do, like my neighbors and abutters have done, is to do a poured concrete foundation to elevate the house above the floodplain. Before I would move forward with anything, I just want to make sure that the Conservation Commission would be okay with this project. It would be to all specs and building codes and regulations.
Would you like to comment on the resource areas, Mike?
Yes, the home is technically on a barrier beach, but it is right on the cusp of the salt marsh area. This would be the NCRS soil map dictating that this would be more of the tidal marsh, salt marsh area, and then this would be the barrier beach coastal dune. There are homes in this area that have both been on wooden piles and with concrete foundations, such as described by Mr. Sofrandini.
Well, many of the older homes down there are definitely on concrete foundations, but the more recent ones, do you have a...
I know a lot of recent ones in that area are on wooden piles.
The matrix from CZM, what does it call for in that area?
Since it's technically barrier beach, it would call for piles, be elevated. But there is some room for doubt considering that line there, and the resource areas depicted on that tool are not always accurate.
Following traditional guidance and specifically the guidance given by CZM, then the option is posts, piles, or soil samples to prove that it's not coastal dune, barrier beach. We've been through this a number of times, and we keep getting back to if there's indication, we need clear and convincing evidence. And it's not like we're trying to make your life difficult, it's trying to make sure your house stays there.
Yes, because unfortunately, you can see by the landscape that I wouldn't be able to do pilings at all. There's nowhere to put the house.
Because they could do screws too, the screw pilings.
Are you
Yeah, the
familiar with
Yoko
helical
screws.
pilings?
Helical piles. It's a screw system that they can lift the house up a little bit, put a screw system in the ground, and that takes the place of the piles. And there's a newer system that I don't understand as well that they claim they can put the wood piles in underneath the house. That I've not seen,
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a project
Yeah.
come by with that technology yet.
but I know they say they have one, and I'm sure that means it's more expensive too, so. trying to
Yes,
be-
that's why I need, it's either the
Yeah.
wood foundation or it sits where it is.
Yeah, trying to be considerate of those issues.
'Cause I didn't think it'd be much of an issue because just last year, my neighbor did the same thing that I want to do.
Comments from other commissioners? Well, you would need to file a notice of intent anyway, and one of the things, I stopped down at the office today, or yesterday actually, speaking to Mike a little bit, there are some FEMA, what are they, FEMA grants, Mike?
Yeah, they're essentially a FEMA grant for repetitive loss areas.
Which gives you an option there. Give you some help with that. Also, I think helical piles could be a possibility too. So you may want to look into that a little more. Also, as Joe said, the soil samples to prove what you actually have there. That would be another way to go about that too. I think, is there any further information you'd like right now?
No, I was just here to have this discussion to see if the commission would say, yeah, you know, just like my abutters and neighbors, that I would be able to do a poured foundation.
Yeah, I don't recall everything in that neighborhood. I remember there was no place to move the house. We allowed them to lift the house, and it was supposed to be just one course of blocks to elevate the house, and that turned out to not work out right, and they basically had to do a whole new foundation, which,
'Cause if you look kitty corner to my house, go down to the right, I'm sorry, that house was a poured foundation just done last year.
yeah, I think you'd have to come back with a little more information for us. One thing being the soil samples, and then clarification of what exactly you want to do.
Okay,
Sorry, it can't be more specific.
that's fine, thank you.
I think one of the things that's become difficult for us is that we're getting increasing guidance from others, from the state and others, about making sure we do coastal dune, barrier beach, the way that they're giving us the guidance to do. So we're trying to balance that.
Mhm.
We've always been as considerate as we can about the costs and everything. We have to balance the other side as well with the regulations.
I think that's it. Any other comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Moving into the hearings, first of all, I'd like to announce we have a number of continuations. 6 Trounce Island, DEP 40, SE 42-3026. Make a motion to continue to 3:15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is 60 Foster Avenue, DEP number SC 42-3015. Also continue to 3:15. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is a new hearing. It's 120 Monitor Road. In compliance with regulations, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Chapter 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by Marshfield Concom on Wednesday, March 1st. For Brian Johnson, 1495 Ocean Street, for the construction of a new single-family home replacing a previous home destroyed by fire within land subject to coastal storm flowage at 120 Monitor Road, Marshfield, Mass. I'd like to make a motion to continue that hearing to, did they give a date on that, Mike?
Yes, that one's for 3:15.
Okay, until 3:15. Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next one to be continued is 274 Foster Avenue, DEP number SC 42-2958. And I don't have a date for continuation of
They
that.
requested June 21st, 2023 as a continuation date. So it's kind of the last meeting in our scheduled hearings currently.
Okay. It's kind of unusual to ask for a continuance for that long.
Yes.
But,
It's pretty abnormal.
Is there a reason we shouldn't?
I guess not. That would take it off, we wouldn't be looking at it week after week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made a motion. You would like
I'll
to second
second
it,
it.
Joe? Okay, all in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the next one is 1184 Ferry Street, SC 42-2987. And again, Mike, when do they want to continue that till?
Till April 5th, 2023.
Okay,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next one is 17 Oregon Road, SC 42-2990. And again, continue to
April 5th.
April 5th. Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And last, 146 Dakota Street, SC 42-3024. And is that to
That's the next meeting, March 15th.
March 15th? Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, I may, just to, you may not know this, but just for information, we have a ecological restoration notice of intent form 3A coming in on the 15th of March for a hearing.
Yes.
And that's liable to be extensive. Take quite a bit of time.
Okay.
So, and it's scheduled for the first hearing. So just, people want to know that, they'll be here late.
So we need to think about bringing breakfast?
No, not that bad.
Okay.
Not that bad.
Okay. I don't know if you want to let people know about that, Mike, if they want to continue their hearings, or they may
Okay.
wind up being here pretty late.
So is that first on the agenda?
Yes, sir, right now it is.
Yeah. So that's, people have to sit through all that.
Yeah.
I may be overstating the time, but I'm just being cautious.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay, that's all the continuations. So, moving on to a new hearing. 108 Dyke Road. It's an RDA. Read the legal ad. In compliance with regulations, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Concom on March 1st to consider the RDA filed by Brian Marcella / Town of Marshfield DAV Post Office Box 611, Marshfield, Mass. Determine whether the area depicted on plans or map below is in an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act, whether the work depicted on the plans is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, and whether the area or work depicted on the plans is subject to jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinance or bylaws of the town of Marshfield. And Ken will be the hearing officer.
All right, so, Mike, can we confirm the administrative requirements?
Yes, administrative requirements have been met.
So, taxes and butters are all set, floodplain permit is applied for?
Yep.
All right, and it's gonna be 8/12, and at this time, is there anyone here to present the project?
I don't believe so.
Yep, I believe I spoke with Mr. Marceller. He's proposing a 30 by 12 deck with footings. They're going to be diamond pairs. There's 5 of them, and it does have a transition. So basically, at this time, I'd like to open up for discussion to commissioners. I don't know if you want to bring it up. There's pretty standard deck. I noticed in, I believe, there was the comments from Andrew. I think the biggest concern is the slope for the ramp, and that was also addressed with Mr. Marceller. I said that would have to obviously follow Mass state building codes, and obviously to get a certificate of compliance, he would have to work with Andrew. He agreed, and I guess there's a framing plan that needs to be also presented that I spoke with you.
Yes,
Mike.
the building commissioner did mention the need for a framing plan on his end.
Right.
Yep.
So this is strictly flood zone, Mike?
Yep, strictly flood zone.
No other resource
on
areas?
previous disturbed land.
Yep.
It's essentially going to mirror the length of the adjacent deck. There will be a small ramp connecting the two, and then this one will be a slightly larger deck than the adjacent one, with the ability to walk out of sliding doors onto the deck.
So it's subject to the floodplain permit and building codes, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That will be captured under the standard special conditions to obtain all subsequent permits.
There's just a framing plan that's required that I think that Andrew was requesting that was missing.
Yep.
And that would be required to get the building permit, so.
Correct.
Yes.
So, anyone else have any comments? I'm gonna open it up to anyone on Zoom or anyone in the audience. So, hearing none. Mike, do you have anything to add?
Nope, not particularly.
All right. So, closing out the term and conditions. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And I don't know if Mike needs to read the special conditions on that. That was the only thing I might have missed.
Just
Thank
the
you.
standard special conditions. Yep.
Okay. Next one is 0 Ferry Street. It's a continued hearing. And Joe is the hearing officer.
So I don't know what you have for us this time, Craig, because we didn't get anything since the last meeting, but I presume since you're here, you have something.
Yes.
I would like to remind you and others that we do have a deadline for content for is it the Friday before the meeting?
We typically like to receive content the Friday before the meeting.
Yeah, so that we all have a chance to take a look at it. And technically, we have a policy that we do assess DWAP. So what was that?
Denial
defer?
without prejudice.
Yes. And we give points for that. And this project has gone on for a while, so I'm inclined not to ask for that, but we do need to make sure that we all have an opportunity to see what you'd like to present. So I ask that you help us with that and others so that we can be prepared, because we don't want to waste your time when you come here either.
Make this very quick then. There have been no plan changes. What we discussed at the last meeting was that this project required a variance for the length of the dock extending out beyond the mean high water line. I reviewed your regulations very closely. There's reference to the length of the dock only in one location. That's in the preamble, 304.1A10. It says piers, depending on their length, can have an adverse impact on recreation by interfering with recreational boating activities. That's the only location where it talks about piers in length, is with respect to recreational boating activities. You have a dock that meets all requirements of the DEP waterways, a dock that complies with all requirements of the Marshfield zoning bylaw and has been approved, a dock that is endorsed by the harbor master. We asked for a variance in this case because we extend out 184 feet. This is the property that has the largest amount of water frontage along the South River that is navigable. There are docks on either side of it. It does not go out into the channel. It does not go out into the mooring field. I could find no nexus to having the length that we have having any sort of adverse effect on recreation at this location. We even talked last time about a specific activity of a kayaker having the ability to kayak either around this dock or under it because it is elevated 6 feet in the air per your regulations. We discussed at the last meeting that the property to the north of us, which is owned not by the applicant, but a family member of the applicant, their intent is to use this dock as well, and whether we should include that as part of our application. I didn't submit any new application materials because we're not proposing any work on that property. The dock here is reference to the deed and reference to the plan that's on here. There's no reason to include that property in the formal plan that's presented. But what I would like to present to the commission tonight is that if this project were approved, if we added that property to the north, that you could approve it with a condition of approval. The condition would state that the permitted dock will be a shared dock with full and complete rights to its use by the owners of both 46 and 60 Preston Terrace. These rights for the benefit of 60 Preston Terrace shall terminate upon transfer of ownership of either property. Adding that property at 60 Preston Terrace doesn't add that much waterfront frontage. It adds 44 feet of frontage. It still would require the same variance to construct this dock. Again, you have a dock that complies with all other requirements, has been endorsed by multiple other agencies, and is in keeping with the docks on either side of it. I also reviewed your Wetlands Protection Chapter 9, or 294, which is the Wetlands Bylaw. The purpose of it is to promote recreation, is one of the protected interests. Recreation had a definition which included recreational boating. I think that this proposal is in keeping with the bylaw. So my goal tonight was to present this requested condition if you are to entertain and approve the variance. And that's where we're at. That's why you don't have any new materials, because the physical design of this has not changed.
Okay. So I just have a comment that makes it difficult for me because the criteria that we're looking at here are ones that the harbor master insisted on. And those are ones that he says are very important to him. And we don't comply with them. And I'm having a hard time balancing that. It's a new set of rules, so we can't really compare the adjacent docks built under an older set of regulations with the newer rules that don't give that flexibility.
I think you can compare that, and I think you can consider that this application was sent to the harbor master. The harbor master performed a site visit on multiple occasions, and the harbor master has provided correspondence to you that he's okay with this location as presented on this plan. Your bylaw specifically allows variances when you meet certain criteria. I think we've documented that. I think we've, reached out and provided a solution with the property to the north if you're so inclined to entertain that. But I think you absolutely, even though the regulations may have had input from the harbor master, can consider that the harbor master, since the adoption of these regulations, has issued new statements specifically about this dock that says he's okay with it.
I think that when we talked to him, he had issues with the length, but he didn't write them down. So I don't know how to deal with that one. Because it,
Do we have the harbor master's comments in writing?
I can reference my email and see if I believe we do.
I have an email from Mike DeMayo dated February 1st. Mr. Ring, Mr. Seeley, you're both on it. Already emailed Mike Seeley, all good. You just need to calculate shellfish mitigation area.
Yes, that's the correct email that I was thinking
Yeah.
of.
that doesn't match the conversation with him.
I believe that email was sent after the conversation with.
That I can't tell you the timing of that.
Do you know when that site visit was conducted with the building officials, such as the building commissioner and Mike DeMayo?
I don't have that date off the top of my head. I'm sure I could
James
get it.
Garfield. I believe I might have that as well.
Yeah, I had thought we had formal comments from the harbor master, and I would think that would be what we would expect, you know, after all these dock visits.
I believe those were the formal comments that Mr. Morse just read off.
January 13th was the dock walk.
Yeah. So I believe the harbor master had sufficient time to review the depth requirements and navigation issues.
I understand that he took a boat to the property to verify navigation at this location.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I was with him.
You were with him? Okay. I also, this will go to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for their review as it's with respect to a channel as well.
Yeah, that particular rule, we've asked for a little more clarification on that. I think the way we've left it is we leave that one up to the harbor master. If he says it's good. But as I recall, that was input that he gave for one of the things he wanted on the new dock rules. But I thought the frontage question, I think that was brought forward by conservation to try to deal with the proliferation of docks on the river.
Some of the conversation around that started that way, but that was Mike DeMayo's, that rule was Mike DeMayo's, having been in the room with him when that was written. This is where I'm having a little bit of the difficulty with this. Because Greg is right, it's similar to the other ones that are there, but it's not consistent with our new rules. And even in cases where we have other docks, the harbor master has not commented on that particular one when he's commented on these rules, when he's commented on, you know, the location of the dock. At a minimum, we need to clarify this with the harbor master.
Ask for a formal report from him.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, one of the reasons to get the material ahead of time, Greg, would be, I think we would have to let town council take a look at the letter about the use of the two lots. But I would be inclined to see that as a certain amount of mitigation for the first variance. And as you said before, Joe, these dock questions are pretty difficult.
Yeah. And trying to put them all together and make sense of them and be respectful of people and their projects is kind of difficult as well. We also don't want to come in and do one thing now and then another thing at another time that doesn't make sense, even though we think it's the right thing to do. We've got to find a way to be fair and equitable.
Yeah. If we were to entertain a variance, one of the things I would want to do is put that calculation in the variance that, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but you probably 85 to 90% of the distance required if you combine the two lots.
Yeah, so if we're
Yeah.
combined, it would allow us a pier of 159.1 feet. Therefore, what we're proposing is 184.9, so it's 25.8 feet beyond. I can certainly add that.
That's kind of somewhat consistent with our mitigation. Makes it a little bit easier to justify
Yeah.
a variance.
Is there anything else that we need information on?
I was just about to summarize and say, I think that what I'd like to do is some clarification from the harbor master and then work with you all and get some advice from council on, you know, the modification so that we can hear it at another time. That makes sense to you guys and fellow commissioners?
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on, and, you know, it's kind of tough when, you know, you have guidance, and then the harbor master is saying he's okay with it, and I don't, you know, I guess when I'm looking at it is what harm does this variance allowing, you know, this dock, you know, being extended do, whether it's to the environment or the waterway, you know, safety, navigation or whatever, and so it's, you know, it's tricky, you know, it's, you have a worksheet and, you know, it's black and white math, but, you know, the reality is, you know, the reality, and so, you know, especially when you have, you know, the harbor master weighing in that even, you know, with this worksheet, he's okay. So, I mean, that's how I'm inclined to, you know, this thought process, you know.
I get conflicting messages when I talk about this with the harbor master, so I'd like to resolve that one, because if you're going to do a variance or discount this particular criteria on every dock, then why do we have this criteria?
No, it's tough. That's what's tough. You know, it's one of the things. You know, you teach your kids if there's rules, there's rules. Once you start, you know, fudging the rules, fudging the criteria, then it's a slippery slope. You know, to a lot
Well,
of
that's
anger
why-
and frustration. Yeah.
That's why, I mean, I was looking for some kind of mitigation, you know, to give a variance and have a shared dock. That's the beginning right there, plus the increased frontage that does give it the most frontage of anything in that area.
Yeah. That gives us the mitigation that I think many of us would accept. So if I make a motion to continue to another date, which we would have to determine to give us opportunity to resolve those two items, would that be acceptable to you?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
And you'll submit that note, Greg, in writing so that town council can review it?
Yes, I will.
If I made a motion, I'd probably get a second. Okay. I make a motion that we continue this hearing until, what date would you all like?
Can we put it for 2 weeks, and then if town council doesn't have a chance to review it, we'll postpone it, or would you rather go out further?
With the understanding of Bill's comment earlier,
Yeah.
that you could be here until a very late hour. I'm not going to object.
Okay.
First meeting in April, Mike, is
The first meeting in April would be April 5th. The meeting 2 weeks from now would be March 15th.
Either one is acceptable.
I think given the ability to get answers from town council, we're better off in April. So that would be my recommendation to you, because I'd rather see you come in and get done. Certain knowledge is better than hanging on. So I make a motion, or I continue making my motion to continue this to April 5.
Second.
Thank you. Hearing a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Greg. And the next hearing is Ronan, 8 Branch Street. DEP number SE 42-3023. It's a continued hearing, and John is the hearing officer.
Okay. I know, is there anyone, James Garfield was here for the last hearing. It was on the Zoom for the last hearing. Is anyone here to present the change for
I don't see anybody.
8 Branch Street?
Greg, hoping to make the comments since,
I can see if he's still in the hallway.
Sorry, I saw it was much further down on the agenda.
No, all these
I'm glad you're going quick.
All these
Thank you.
continuations, yeah. So, Greg, you're going to present the
Yeah.
changes from the last meeting? And I don't know if we have to, all the notifications, the business
Yep.
matters are all set, so this,
Yep. So yeah, real briefly, Greg Morris, engineer, Morris Engineering, 8 Branch Street, Ronan 953 LLC. This is the second hearing. It's a notice of intent for a raise and rebuild of a single-family home. This was presented to you previously about a month ago and is continued. This is a raise and rebuild of a home. This is salt marsh delineated by John Zimmer at the back of the property in blue. This is also in land subject to coastal storm flowage in AE at elevation 12. Since the last meeting, we made one plan change, which was made a small connection between the garage and the primary box house. Just to the left of where the cursor is there, that connection was made between the two structures. So it is just one structure at this point. We also went to the Zoning Board of Appeals and received approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals at the last meeting that they had. DEP had no comments on this. This is a fully FEMA compliant foundation equipped with flood vents and living space at elevation 14, which provides 2 feet of freeboard to the floodplain. All works in previously developed areas, predominantly where the existing house and the existing garage were at the site. The driveway gets realigned with a shell driveway. It's a pervious material.
okay.
Turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, so I think the changes, I think were responsive. You know, the new wrinkle was the attaching the house, you know, to the garage before it was detached, and I think it was on a slab. It didn't have flood vents. Now, according to the plan, the proposed attached garage is the flood vents. The house has the flood vents. I'm assuming the connector, the breezeway, whatever it is also going to have the flood vents?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so wasn't perfectly clear, but I assume that was the case. And I think you're working with Andrew. One of his comments was he was looking for the elevation certificate and what materials were going to be used below.
Yes, but yeah, the FEMA elevation certificate and the list of building materials will be submitted with the building permit.
Okay.
Your order is going to specify that we have to comply with all other
Yep.
requirements, which will cover that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think he did raise the question about the breezeway or whatever, whether that had flood vents, which obviously it does, so.
Yes, it is.
So I think, based on what we talked about at the last meeting and the changes in the plan, Mike, do you have any comments on it?
Yep. There was some debris back in this area, perhaps installing a condition about removing the debris as part of the project.
We talked about that, I think, given, there's also construction going on next door, so it wasn't clear who was responsible or had ownership for the debris, but,
Yeah, any of the debris that's on our site will gladly remove. This,
Yeah.
this was kind of a dilapidated building,
Oh, yeah.
garage, and,
Yeah.
yeah, it's our intent to fully clean it.
yeah. No, I think that was, I just noticed it, and it was kind of
Yeah.
messy, and my assumption was a lot of it was coming from the construction, Jason. So, I don't know if anybody in the audience has any comments, anybody on Zoom has any questions or comments? I don't see anybody, any of the commissioners have any questions or comments?
No, I think it's pretty well explained.
All right, so, I think, if there's no further comments, you got special conditions, Mike, you wanna?
The
Discuss.
standard special conditions would apply with an insert under during construction, ensure erosion controls in place and do not use hay, may introduce invasive plant species to wetlands and setbacks. It shall secure the construction of the site from intrusion into the wetlands. After construction, there should be an insert that an elevation certificate shall be provided to the conservation department. And under general information, the debris should be cleaned up from their resource areas and setbacks on the property.
Okay. All right, so with that, I make a motion to vote and to close an issue with special conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, all right. I guess.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you.
So that completes our hearings. Move on to COCs. Want to handle those, Mike? First one is SE 42-2872, 22 Ninth Road.
I believe, the Horns are here to speak about their property too. Just generally, there is a generator stand located just beyond the conservation markers here. The zoning department indicated to Mr. Horn that this would be pretty much, they had limited spaces to put the generator stand, so if that's my understanding. So,
Forgive me, sir, I can barely hear you.
oh, sorry. So from my understanding with your conversation with zoning, there were very limited spaces for you to put the generator stand. So this is ultimately the place where it was installed. Mr. Horn also, with knowledge that was going beyond the conservation markers, contacted Cindy Castro, the director of beaches, to replant some of the beach grass that was located on the property. And then also in regards to the addition, one of the special conditions was to ensure that the subsurface remained pervious. As we can see from the before and after pictures, the places where the foundation was changed on where the front door is relocated remains pervious on helical screws. And then the foundation for the addition itself is impervious but remained impervious before and after construction. The chair of the commission and myself made a site visit, and we discussed the possibilities of doing a singular planting or a few smaller plantings with some sort of follow-up, some sort of report to supplement that, either by the homeowner or by a qualified wetland professional, to mitigate this. It's a small square footage, but the generators stand beyond those conservation markers.
So this generator was permitted by the building department?
I beg your pardon?
The generator was you got a permit for the generator when it was installed?
Well, the generator itself, no, well, I filed a permit for the gas.
Yes,
That's the same thing?
It's through the building department.
more or less.
Yeah.
So the building department was aware you were putting the generator in? So it's kind of a miscommunication between the two departments, right?
Yes.
And what's the reason it has to be there? Because of the setbacks?
Yeah, there's on the shape of the lot and the setback from adjacent lots, it's pretty limited as to where they can put it. So that was pretty much the most reasonable and logical spot to put the generator.
I'm kind of at a loss why it couldn't go closer to the house, not that I'm necessarily interested in pursuing that,
Right.
because that sends them, that uses less gas pipe.
Well, this is the deck right here, and then this is the generator, so it is in fairly close proximity to the generator. But yeah, that's a good point.
Isn't the constraint, it can be close to the house, but it has to be, I think it's 6 or so feet away from a window.
Oh, it
So,
is.
so even if, so maybe they can't get it closer to the house because there's so many windows that are,
Yeah.
gonna
There's
be,
no window close by, but there's a back door.
yeah, okay, opening, yeah,
Probably 10 foot.
yeah. So, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is, I just
Yeah.
know there's a number
Yeah.
that
And
the generator has to be distant from a window or a doorway.
it would be ideal if we knew about it. It's not that far out. And a planting mitigation seems quite reasonable to me.
I would agree.
Yeah.
What would the commission think about the monitoring period of this, or the need for a qualified wetland professional, given that this would likely be a small planting area?
I don't see the need for
Yeah.
wetlands.
Right.
It's just gonna be beach grass, right?
It could be. What would
Well, what
we?
did, you said you discussed it with Craig?
I discussed it with Greg. We discussed an eastern red cedar, a bush of some sort that would have a similar square footage of that generator stand there. Beach grass. I mean, obviously, there's beach grass growing on the property in abundance. Could be up to the homeowner any option that would do well there and would be a native species or a species to help that dune-like environment would be suitable.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, we're agreeable, we want to plant whatever is going to be, what the town wants us to plant, or, you know, we want to comply. But Michael gave us a couple of pages of different types of beach grass. So we were just going to look at that, and then, so if we pick it, how will we know where to plant it and how much we should plant?
And when's planting season?
Depends on the species. Yeah.
I suggest something.
Let's recognize Mr. Finn.
Yeah, William Finn, 96 Dog Lane. If you go to a nursery and you you select a particular species of grass, that'll come with plant and request. You can request the planting instructions. It'll tell you the depth that you need to plant it at, the density you need to plant it at, and the time of year. So that should all come if you go to a reputable nursery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you. I'm just
The
saying, I
nurse-
don't know how much area that we have to plant in. You know what I'm saying, the area.
Oh, can I say something? I'm sick to death of seagrass, so I'd rather have a plant or a bush of something that's, like you were pointing out, I'd rather
Okay.
have that.
I would say if do cedar tree.
Cedar trees.
An eastern red cedar would be.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be a pretty good fit on that site.
Yeah.
And in that case, we could let Mr. Seeley take a look at that in 3 years and make sure it survived, and that would be it.
Yeah, good to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that satisfactory?
Yes.
when you go, you should get, ask the nursery
Yeah.
for those instructions.
Do you have that one?
No, and I don't own one either.
No, that's all right.
I'm sure their hardscape guy probably does plantings too.
Check down. What's that, 3 right over the North River there.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion that, subject to the planting of one eastern red cedar, we vote to issue the certificate of compliance. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one up is SC 42-2770,
Thank you.
1173 Ferry Street. Want to explain that one, Mike?
Sure thing. Yep, everything appeared to be as built as proposed. In fact, I believe on the proposed drawing, there was a bit of a impervious area in the front as a driveway. They'd never put that in. So, really it's pretty much built as proposed. There is a structure underneath there, garage-like structure with a garage door, but nothing in the special conditions, and no comments from the building inspector refute that or go against the ability to have that structure there.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to issue the COC. Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is SE 42-2770, 180 Riverside Circle.
Yes, this one was for a planting mitigation plan. I went out on site, observed the plantings and mitigation plan as referenced by Brooke Monroe's report, and confirmed that 28 of the 30 plantings were present and in good condition, achieving that 75% success rate.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to issue the certificate of conditions. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, the remainder of these, the conditions have not been met, correct, Mike? So,
True.
So I'm just gonna list these off and we'll take a vote to table. First one is, I don't think we need to go into further explanation.
No, I believe the
They're being
commission
worked.
has
They've been-
also motioned to.
It's been going
table.
on for a long time. Is there anything you need to discuss on it?
Not particularly.
Okay,
I believe that the building commissioner is following up with a few of these sites, or at least one of them. So they should be probably having an update by the next meeting.
okay, I'd like to make a motion to table SE 42-1074, 36 Old Ocean Street. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to table SC 42-1500, 71 Constellation Road. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, make a motion to table SC 42-2773, 1185 Ferry Street. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I believe 106 Preston Terrace also has to be tabled. I'm not sure if I missed that or if it was voted on.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I missed, so that's a table also?
Yep.
Make a motion to table SC 42-2976, 106 Preston Terrace. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
With no further business, I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.